Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide with your host, Mariana Cooper, founder of Aha Moments International and AhaMomentsWorld.com. Tune in for the next hour and learn to trust your aha moments to lead the way to live a passionate and purposeful life. And now here's your host, Mari.
Hello there, and welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari. Happy Tuesday, and we are back full swing in our fall season. We have a nice show planned today with the topic that comes up a lot with my private clients and my group coaching clients as well, and friends and family who call me for advice too. And that is divine detours. I call them divine detours and side doors, meaning when we are working on manifesting various things in our lives and we think we're on the right path and we're getting all the signs and the symbols, and then something seems to sort of blow up and an opportunity comes and it doesn't look like what we thought it would look like. It doesn't or we have some sort of delay and it seems like it's not going to come to fruition. What does all of that mean? And could it potentially not be the demise of what we're trying to manifest, but actually a hidden accelerator for our manifesting success? So I wanted to give you today some nuances, some different things that you can look for, and you can, additional tools for your toolkit so that you can appropriately and accurately evaluate what's actually going on in your process with your manifesting and your intuitive work. It is really important to be as fluent as you possibly can in the language of your intuition when you are working on manifesting projects, because it's always a two-way conversation. And I notice a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to do this recipe that I learned from whoever, and step one is this, and step two is that, and step three is this, and then I just sit and I fold my hands and I wait for it all to happen. And some people go the other direction and say, okay, I did that recipe, but I just better make sure it happens just in case that thing doesn't work, and then they go and undo everything because they start trying to physically influence and go after what it is they want. So we're going to unravel all of that, and I'm going to talk today about divine detours and how they can actually work in your favor, some of the key hidden blocks that cause our delays and how to fix them, and then how you can maximize when these side doors happen, and how not to miss hidden opportunities. Because, it's funny, there are many, when we have a desire for something, it's layered with additional opportunities for learning, for healing, for growth, for expansion, for ascension as we get more and more advanced in working energetically. And so when you have a desire for something, believe me, it's loaded with a lot, especially if it's something that you really, 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 really want. Okay, so we're going to get into that in a couple of minutes. Just a couple of quick announcements. I'm very excited. We had quite a turnout for our advanced class, our personal alchemy class, and we are going to be resuming class tomorrow. We had our first class last week, and over the weekend I sent out that first class as a listening link to those who had taken our quiz, and we had several people sign up for the class after listening to class number one. So that ended last night, but if you happen to be listening to the show and you would like to join us tomorrow, then just send us an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com. We'll send you the first recording of the first class, and then you can join in for the live class, the final 3 live classes tomorrow. It's a 4-week class. Really, really powerful. Everybody's bringing 2 manifesting projects that they're working on to class and applying all those techniques that we're doing in class to those specific manifesting projects. And of course, I'm channeling it. So there's lots of information that's coming in brand new, which is always fun. So that's that, support at ahamomentsinc.com. And also, if you haven't taken our Frequency First quiz, be sure to do that. I believe, you know what, you can go on our website at www.theahaway.com, and take that energetic frequency quiz. That will give you an assessment of how you're using your energy and some cool video tips as well. So I think that's it for now. Oh, one more announcement, and then we'll get right into our topic. If you, by the way, want to call in, the phone number to call in changed. So the new number to call in is 917-889-2626. That's 917-889-2626. Okay. So final announcement is that we are now registering for our mastermind coaching program, and that is for people who are ready to get beyond a quick little podcast and a little dabble here and a little dabble there, and who want to take a deep dive in this work and join me for 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks of group coaching and then also includes 3 private sessions with me one-on-one for 50 minutes each, and also access to our big retreat in 2018, our Summit by the Sea retreat here in La Jolla. So you get 25% off of that retreat as well. We already have people registering for that, people who come from last year who grabbed the spot quickly this year. Because I keep this particular retreat small so that we can have our advanced folks, kind of all on the same level. So if you would be interested in getting an application for the mastermind, because it is an invitation application-only program, and I really kind of handpick the people that I feel would be best for learning the level of work, but also for interacting with each other, because that's a big piece of it. Especially when I come to the retreat, etc. So if you'd like, you can send me an email, and I'll send you the link for the page and the application. So support at ahamomentsinc.com, AHA Moments with an SINC.com, and we'll get you the page link and the application. All right. So I think that is it for the time being with announcements. And off we go into Divine Detours and Side Doors. Again, if you want to call in, 917-889-2626 to ask a question. Okay, so let's say you have a project that you're working on. You want to get a new house, or you want to get a new car, a new job, or a new relationship. And let's take relationship. A lot of people, go into this whole I have to have my soulmate, my twin flame, my kindred spirit, whatever that person whatever you want to call it. But they're looking for the one, that perfect person. And it goes down a couple of routes. First, they go down the personal development route, which is write a list of everything you want in a person and start to, take massive action on the online sites to meet this person and, register for 3 or 4 different online sites. And, it's a numbers game, so make sure you go on 5 dates a week and, and all of that. And so there's that approach, right? And then there's the approach of, sometimes what people do is they take that first, and then they say, okay, well, they hear about this energy stuff and this manifesting stuff and law of attraction, and they make a vision board. And they say, okay, well, I have a picture of us, of a guy and a girl on the beach, and somebody with an engagement ring, and somebody on, did a candlelit dinner, or, doing, kissing under an umbrella, all the different, couple-y pictures you see on the internet. And they make a vision board, and then they start staring at it. And then, they do an affirmations, I'm in a relationship, I'm in a relationship. And they go back to the massive action part, and they go into the I'm in a relationship part, and it starts spinning and spinning. And then every person they meet, they go through some sort of major, analysis with their friends and tailspin, etc. And it becomes a very arduous process. And it's funny because what I've found is that as soon as people get energy, as soon as you sort of put something out with a frequency, right? So you're putting out I want to be in this relationship. The first thing is you kind of set yourself up. When you say, I want to be in a relationship, you're actually saying to the universal energy, I'm not in a relationship already. So that means that I'm in a state of lack. And the emotion that goes around that lack is despondence, is despair, is loneliness, is sadness, is, feeling agitated, anxious. Maybe you're on the timeline. You want to have a baby. You want to get married. All that kind of thing. And so you now have an intention. I have a lack of something. And then you have an emotion. Anxiety, despair, despondence, freaking out, comparing, competing. I've had a few people say, I can't go to the beach in La Jolla. I'm like, why? Oh, because there's too many couples there. There's too many families there. There's too many couples there. And if I watch the couples and the families, I can't, I can't take it. So I don't want to be around them because since I don't have that, I don't want to see anybody else. So, and then they want to know, well, why am I meeting anybody? Why am I not meeting anyone? And it's because they're using the electromagnetic field. Remember, electrical is your intention, your thought. Magnetic is your emotion. And you're always operating in some sort of electromagnetic field. You're always creating these fields with your energy. It's kind of the, what we call the energetic grid, and it's how it works. It works from electrical, and magnetic. And you're putting out an intention of lack, and then you're putting emotions of anxiety and negative emotion around it. So what are you going to do? You're going to start to get proof that you are lacking a relationship. You're going to start the dates that you do get are going to kind of go south, or it's going to be very awkward, or stressful, or just the boring person, or the person that you're not physically attracted to, et cetera, et cetera. So it's the first thing is a lot of times. So if something like that happens, and then you're going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, I really want this relationship. I really want this relationship. You might all of a sudden hear about a spiritual teacher or somebody who can teach you how to clean up your intention and your energy, right? So it's not necessarily happening on the dating site. It's taking you off onto a detour so that you can clean up your vibration enough, purify it, to get it on point with what it is you really desire. So it might take you to a class. It might put you in touch with someone who's in an amazing relationship. It may say, you might be invited to a wedding with a couple that is just absolutely divine, amazing. And you see, and you can feel the energy, you can feel the chemistry, and there's so much love in the room, and everybody's crying, and it's a beautiful wedding. And you get there, and you have a choice. You can look at it as, this is a horrifying experience because I don't have it too, and I've had so many people say that. Or you can look at it as, wow, it's a divine detour. I've been put in a place where I can witness that what I'm desiring does actually exist. That relationship can be exemplary. That it's not necessarily that's attainable, because you're literally witnessing it with your own two eyes. So a lot of people would identify, they're miserable, they don't have a relationship, and then they get invited to a wedding that they can't get out of, and they have to go, and they see it as a horrifying thing, and whereas it's actually a divine detour, because it's the universal energy saying, hey, we get that you have crisscrossing intention. Part of your intention is, I want this relationship so bad. The other side of the intention is, it's impossible. This is like, and how horrifying is it that she has it and I don't? And it's even worse with sisters, and you see this with sisters a lot, when the younger sister gets married before the older sister, and all holy hell breaks loose because the younger sister has gotten married and the older sister hasn't figured it out yet. So there's a spin, right? And it's a negative, I call them negative vortexes, where your energy is going counterclockwise. You generally, when you're manifesting, you want your energy to kind of be spinning clockwise. And when you have negative emotions that are sort of cannibalizing your desire on the electromagnetic field, your energy actually, if you were going to look at it in a picture, you'd see it spinning counterclockwise. So when you're desiring something, you want to kind of move forward, and your energy is sort of rotating in a clockwise fashion. It's you're adding in. It's like you're folding in flavoring into a beautiful cake that you're baking, right, in this manifesting project. So, like you said, when the guides know you have a huge intention, but they also know that you don't have all the tools you need to actually truly manifest that as you stand right now, they will start to pull you through what you would consider to be detours. You might be all of a sudden, you have weight to lose and you want to start dating. And yes, people can accept you exactly the way you are if you accept you exactly the way you are. But if you don't, and you say, oh, when I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to start dating. Oh, when I lose 20, but I really want a relationship. And, somebody says, oh, but the guy should accept you exactly the way you are now. And you're like, yeah, I know. By virtue, he should. But, no, I really need to lose 20 pounds. You'll be amazed at how synchronistically you get pulled to a nutritionist, or all of a sudden, somebody invites you to go to a new gym or a new fitness center, or, you get inspired to take a dance class or take a yoga class because your energy is saying, okay, well, the first thing before she can get this, she's put this roadblock in her way of I have to be a certain size before I can open my heart to meeting the person of my dreams. So that detour will take you out to a new gym. Okay. Now, that's one way, because there's something that's incongruent in your energy with what you want. So they have to fill in your blanks, right? They have to sort of pull you up to ground zero, pull you up. You're operating below zero because you're feeling like you're lacking something, and then they have to fill that in. You have to fill that in before you can be in alignment with what it is you're asking for. So that's one way to detour. But then there's other ways. There's another reason why detours happen, and that is to keep you safe. Right, and this actually happened to me career-wise. I remember many years ago. I'll be really dating myself because it had to do with I went on a job interview, and I really didn't want this job, but it was a huge job for a major credit card company, and I knew my family would be really thrilled if I got it, because I was like on the entrepreneur path, but I was kind of still in between that. Should I do corporate? Should I be an entrepreneur? And I went through all these interviews, and I was like nailing the interviews. It was going to be like this big vice president of this huge operation in Manhattan. And I went to the interview, and I like I said, I went through a bunch of them, a bunch of different levels, and I just slam dunk. So I finally said, go into the executive offices and meet with the, executive vice president, blah, blah, blah. So I go and I get to this thing, and I get to him, and I'm in this, big, beautiful office, windows all the way around, looking out at the Hudson. And I flatlined. I literally couldn't even remember what school I went to. I just couldn't remember. I could barely answer the guy's questions, and he's like, how did you get this far in these interviews? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I literally blanked out. I couldn't answer his questions. So, ultimately he was polite. I left, and my recruiter, I talked to my recruiter on the phone. He's like, what did you just do in that interview? You didn't get the job. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad. I was so relieved. I was like, oh, thank God I didn't get the job. I got on the subway and I got back on the train, and I went home, and I was thrilled. Okay, I tanked, they didn't want me. Oh, I didn't get the job. My parents, my family, my recruiter, who was counting on this enormous, retainer commission, forget me that job. Everybody was miserable. I felt like, this was a detour. It was this no was a gift. But what was more of a gift than just me not having to do a job I didn't want to do is that job was in Tower 2 of the World Trade Center on the 50-something floor. It was no joke. I literally, 4 years later, it ceased to exist, and I would have been there, So it was a detour out of harm's way. Okay, so a lot of times I see people in my practice, and like I said, friends in particular. My practice, actually, my girls listen to me, so a lot of them don't do this. But my friends, another story, because everybody's on their own agenda and they're not progressing in a they're not taking this seriously on a day-to-day basis and really taking it, on as a very, practice. So they happen to go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. And they get detoured, and then they start fighting the detour and saying, but I said this and I want that, and they start fighting the detour. When you fight the detour, you can kind of splinter that into more detours, right? It's not going to accelerate you to what you're hoping for. It's going to actually spin you backwards because your frequency is getting less and less and less aligned with where you want it to be. So that's one thing. Now, the other thing that is also very important in this topic, as we're talking about, hidden accelerators to success, the most important thing that accelerates your ability to get what you want is vibrational alignment to what it is. If you are in a spin out, in angst, and you are keeping score and you're looking at your circumstances as dictating, constantly evaluating circumstances, is it here yet, is it here yet, is it here yet? Every time you say, is it here yet, is it here yet, is it here yet, you're saying in your energy it's not here, which means you're affirming not here-ness, which means that you're going to continue to stay in that abyss of lack, right? It's going to keep missing. And so the big shift to help you with this, the big shift that you really need to make a habit, and this does take practice. This is not I just heard Mari on a radio show and now I'm perfect. Okay, this care and attention on a daily basis is to be able to start to focus more on how you are feeling than what you are seeing in your circumstance. When you focus on what you are seeing in your circumstances and you react, okay, and I've used this analogy on the air before and in classes before. It's like looking in the mirror and you're seeing the reflection and your reaction to the reflection, and you're trying to change the mirror itself as opposed to changing your face in the mirror so that the reflection changes, right? So your circumstances are really just reflection of your internal process. It's just a reflection of your current frequency. Okay, so if you're a circuit, and they lag behind, so you have a thought and frequency that you're carrying on day one, and then on day two, your circumstances are reading out what was happening 4 days ago in your frequency. Okay, and so on. So you don't really start to see evidence of what it is that you are most focused on for at least 3 days. If you're not doing this work often or paying attention, it could be 100 days. It could be 60 to 100 days. What you're experiencing now is what your dominant thoughts were 30 to 60 to 100 days ago. Okay, especially because a lot of people habitually think negative, and they're habitually in like high octane stress all the time, and so they're constantly reacting and trying cause and effect, just react to circumstances, and they're letting their vibration kind of go all over the place, like herding kittens. One kitten's going this way, and another kitten's going that way, and another kitten's going up, and one's down, one's flipping over, and that's how they're reacting. So, of course, by the end of the day, the end of the week, you're exhausted because you're just like reacting and trying to put fires that react. And you say, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? So then you're putting victim energy into your field as well. And so it just creates this negative vortex tailspin, right? When you have all that going, it is very hard to get you on any kind of, straight line to manifesting success. And if you have all that going on and you're not addressing it, the universe is not going to go around all of that negative crazy and say, oh, I know she really wants this. So, but she's really being negative crazy, bit down on it's not going to happen for me. And then kind of coming back. It's not going to go around all of that and say, okay, let's give her what she wants because she's suffering so much. Suffering does not get rewards in universal energy. Okay, so what gets the reward is when you say, okay, I'm done with the suffering. No matter what, I'm going forward now. I'm claiming. And you see this. You see people who are ill. You see people who are who have been through, major financial devastation, it's fascinating to see how people, when they hit absolute rock bottom, how they bounce back better than the people who are like halfway to rock bottom. Why is that? Because when people hit rock bottom, their frequency goes into complete alignment with I can't go any lower. I'm going up, and then every part of them is on the way up. Some people who are on their way down, they still have, one safety net. Maybe they still have their house, equity, or they maxed out some credit cards and they know they're on their way down and they just lost their job. They still have the house equity, but, then maybe they can get a loan from their uncle and maybe a little inheritance. They still have some safety nets and stuff, but they're on their way down financially. They, a lot of times, have a harder, the fall keeps falling, because they're out of alignment. They're saying, well, am I going to fall or am I going to make it? Am I going to fall or am I going to make it? So then they have all this static, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So they keep going down, 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 because they're not getting completely aligned with forward, right? And they're panicking and getting emotional. Their thoughts are panicking and doing worst-case scenarios, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and oh, that happened to so-and-so, and oh, remember when Eddie, he lost everything? Oh, yeah, and Barbara, she lost everything too. Oh, my God, that's exactly what it looked like. So they go through these worst-case scenarios in their head. Oh, let's plan for the worst but hope for the best. Well, let me tell you something. If you're planning for the worst, that means your intention is intending the worst. That's what your dominant frequency is, and that's going to slide you. Right, so when the people hit rock bottom, they have to declare the bankruptcy. Then there's no place to go but up. All of a sudden, they get alignment. They get alignment. I'm getting up out of this. I am going forward. I had a friend who's a writer, prolific writer, phenomenal, one of the best guys I know, and he lost everything at one point. And he and his partner had to live out of his car for a while. And I remember meeting him a little bit after that piece had kind of ended for him. And he said, I remember the day I just declared, I'm going to write my way up out of this. I'm just going to write my way up out of this. And they would, sleep in the car at night and they'd go to Starbucks in the day. And he wrote, he submitted things, and he, started getting, published in various anthologies, short story, novellas, this, that. He's an extraordinary writer. He writes, 8 hours a day. And he started getting published, 5, 6, 7, 10 times a week in all different types of things. And when I met him, which was, several months after his declaration, he had just gotten approval to get a mortgage on a house. It wasn't expensive, maybe $30,000, whatever, but he had figured out how he's going to be able to pay this thing off in, 2 years or something. It's 5 years, now it's like, 4 or 5 years ago. And he, not only does he own the house outright, but he's published, over 4,000 works, and, not in the 2 years, over many years, but, he's really, really on his feet now. And that was because alignment, when he hit rock bottom, right? So sometimes if you feel like you're going down, I'm not saying, well, let yourself hit rock bottom, but if you feel like you're really in a dire straight situation, the way you could, that's a detour too, because sometimes it's just easier for you, it's just easier for you to play out this worst case scenario, let it happen, and then get in total alignment with what you really want. Then, the going back and forth of, will it happen, will it not happen, will it happen, will it not happen, and then you're on the fence, right? You really do need to pick a lane. Now, the next thing are side doors. Okay, so side doors are when you feel like there's a straight line of what you want. You want this job. It's funny, when I was in New Jersey, I really wanted to compete dancing, and my first partner had gone off to So You Think You Can Dance, so he was off in London, and, never to return. And I met this other guy, and I was dancing with him, and he wasn't. I was kind of on a trajectory because he was a good dancer, and and I wanted to compete again and stuff. But there was just something odd. There was something that I didn't feel that push like I had with my other partners. And I was dancing with him, and we had learned all the competition dances and were kind of preparing, but something wasn't right. And I noticed that I was having this intense urge to move to California. And I had never, ever wanted to relocate. Everybody I know and all my family was New York, New Jersey area. But even though I was dancing with this guy, I just felt like, I just felt pulled, like California, California, California. I kept hearing it. And, obviously, you guys know the story. I ended up in California. I ended up, breaking off with that guy and moving up here. And now what was interesting is that the California was the side door to that, in that particular category of my life, because then I meet this other guy who's off the charts amazing and way better than the last one. And so he's that guy that they were trying to get me to. And it took literally relocating 3,000 miles away, which was a pretty big side door for that life category. Now, it was a front door for, other things, but it was a side door for the dancing. So I think it's important to recognize that there's two things, okay? So you're always going to have potential divine delays, divine detours, side doors, because generally universal energy wants to give you the path that's the quickest and most efficient to get to what you want. And sometimes, because they can see that if you're, the bottom line is, if you are 100% in alignment, there is no lag in time. If you are 100% in alignment, there is no lag in time, because there is really no, past, present, future. If you're in 100% alignment, you get what you want right now, right? If there's any kind of thing that's out of alignment or things have to configure, right? So it was funny, my current dance partner and I, we arrived in San Diego the same week. Didn't meet for a year and a half. But when we started, say, oh, well, when did you get here? We realized that we got here within a week of each other. Him coming from the Utah area and me coming from the East Coast, right? But he got this really intense urge to leave and go to San Diego right when I was getting this really intense urge to leave and go to San Diego from our respective parts of the country, right? So it's fascinating to see how, and there was so many other synergies when we start to really talk and like see, oh my gosh, we were at this competition at the same time, all these different things. And so there is a lot of that syncing up, right? When the timing, when you are in alignment, there is no huge gap in time. But your universal energy will bring you the most efficient version possible. And sometimes what is most efficient, because you have a deficit of something, like when you said, oh, I want to meet the guy, but I want to be 20 pounds lighter, or I want the house, or, but I meet the guy first, all these different things. It's because they know essence-wise what you really want. Okay? So, like you might want a fabulous house, and you're focused house. And, really, if you look closer, what does the house really represent? Well, it represents relationship, represents love, represents friends, family, feeling safe, feeling joyful, entertaining. It's a trophy. It's, a symbol of success that you've had. So, you know what? You may not get the money for the house right away, because all of a sudden you get the boyfriend, you get your career takes a jump forward, you get satisfaction in new friendships that are really meaningful. You get the life that you felt would be the house is a symbol of the lifestyle you wanted. So what happens is the universe brings you the lifestyle first, and then puts the house over top of the lifestyle, as opposed to putting you in the empty house that you feel is the symbol of this lifestyle, and then you have to go and sort of, ratchet up the rest of your life to fill up the house. It can go either way. There's that saying, build it and they will come. And Under the Tuscan Sun, she got that big fabulous house, and then eventually her life caught up to the house. But, it's often the other way around. And so, but your energy, your higher self knows how you're going to be the happiest, most joyful, most aligned, most congruent. And you may very well see that, yes, I've been wanting this house, but that house is symbolizing a feeling of how I want to feel. I want to feel loved. I want to feel warm. I want to feel content. I want to feel safe. I want to feel like I have camaraderie with my amazing friends. I want to feel a sense of family, union and love. So it'll bring you all of that first. And then, like I said, then all of a sudden it shows up. But now you're not moving into an empty house because your higher self knows if we gave her that house and she doesn't have all this other stuff to put in the house, she's going to sit in that house and she's going to miss a whole lot of opportunities and a whole lot of emotion that she's wanting to experience because she's going to be in this big house that has a bunch of empty rooms and nothing to fill it up, right? So it's a divine detour. Right? It's a divine delay. And and then you realize afterwards, wait, look at my life. Wow, I don't even care so much about that house anymore because I have all these other wonderful things that house is going to represent. Now, when you get the house, it has a whole lot more genuine meaning, and it's not an empty cavern, right? So, as you're going through your manifesting projects, I want you to take a look at. Are you having divine detours that you're pushing up against? Are you saying, oh, no, that's not what I want. I'm not looking for that. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Or are you willing and open? Are you willing and open? It's funny. They just reminded me of another story. When I first moved to La Jolla, I was in this one house on one side of town, and the landlord was going to sell the house and everything, so I had to leave. And I waited till the last minute. I was like, no, I'm going to buy my big, fantastic house. And I ended up kind of very last minute. I mean, like day after I moved kind of thing. My sister actually found an apartment here for me, a condo. And I was like, I don't want. She's like, Mari, you can't be homeless. You got to go move to this place. So I moved to this place I didn't want to be. And I said, I don't understand it. I should have bought this new house. And I was like, kicking and screaming and everything. And I realized I went to something said, relax, go get a pedicure. So because I was in this new neighborhood, in this new condo, I went to a new place and just went to this, manicure shop. And just away from this new place, and I was just like trying to find some breathing room. And and it was funny because I went and I sat down in the pedicure chair, and this girl was sitting next to me, and she says, so we're chatting. We're talking about San Diego and how great the weather is here. And I said, and we were talking about pedicures. And I said, oh, yeah, when I used to ballroom dance, I used to get a pedicure every week. Now it's like, every month or so. And she looks at me, she goes, oh, you ballroom dance? I said, oh, yeah, I always, I competed. I love ballroom dance. She goes, I'm a ballroom dance teacher, and, I competed. I'm like, oh, really? Are you kidding me? And she says, no, I'm not kidding. I said, where do you dance? And then she started telling me the studios she was at. And, well, come to find out, she says, oh, I want to invite you to the grand opening of this studio. You should come, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, that would be amazing. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt at that minute that God had just given my dance back. I just knew because we come to find out, she had a German Shepherd, I had a German Shepherd. Her father was in the service, my father was in the service. All these different, she had horses, I had horses, all these different things. So we became, good friends and still are to this day. Well, that studio that she invited me to is where I met my current dance partner, and, and on and on and on. So it was like the divine delay was, the detour was putting me in a condo when I wanted to buy this house. And I didn't, and I was kind of slammed into this place I didn't want to be, past of everything else I ever wanted. And it was just, it was complete, and when I say I was fighting, and I'm willful, and I know all about energy, right? So I know how to be willful in it, and I was like, no, and I mean, my family had to, like, wrestle me to the ground. And it's amazing how, it just worked out, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened because they put me on a path. So always know your higher self is like a periscope in a submarine. It's the camera that comes up out of the submarine, and it sees over the horizon, and it can see way further than you. You're down underwater, and it sees up and above, right? And it can see all the way around, 360 degrees. And it's seeing the path of most allowance for you, or path of least resistance. Now, if it's going to pick the path of least resistance to what you want, The resistant part will come in when you start balking at the path because it doesn't look like you think it should look. Oh, I was working on manifesting this thing. I was going to go from point A to point. I don't want elemental P. I want A to B to C. And they're like, oh, the elemental P is not a bad thing. And then you see that, and neither is QRS. QRS is pretty good too. But you're back at C. You have to be at C, but you're going to miss all these other great letters. And you cannot build anything with just 3 letters of an alphabet. You need more alphabet. No, I don't want it. I want this to this to this. I don't want all the alphabet. I just want these things. And I fight. I was very willful. And when they finally just took me by the throat and wrestled me to the ground, and I finally had to surrender, they surrendered right into the right place, and was like, okay, now let's put her over here and give her a lollipop and pet her head and shove her over, and shove her in front of everything she's ever wanted right here in this side of town. So as you're going through this, I want you to evaluate. Look at your processes. Look at your different manifesting projects. Are you getting in the way? Are you potentially perceiving detours and side doors as things that are slowing you down when they're actually hidden accelerators to what it is you're desiring? Now, the other thing that happens, and this will be the last thing, and then I'll take a question or two. If you want to call in to ask a question about all of this, you can call in at 917-889-2626, 917-889-2626. Okay, so the last piece of this I'll mention, that just so you have it in your hip pocket. 4, something is about to come from the energetic form into the physical. We talk about this in my alchemy classes. As it's transferring from energy into physicality, you will get in your own life a lot of times a lag where it seems like it's not going to happen. You'll be on the way as it's building. You'll be getting all these signs and signals and synchronicity, steps to take, and take the step. And oh my gosh, it's here! It's almost here! It's almost here! It's unfolding. I see it! I see it! I see it! I feel it! I feel it! I feel it! I feel it! And then it's like, wait. All the signs stop. The synchronicity seems to stop. The forward momentum seems to stop. It feels like the creation is like you're missing. Like it's not going to happen. Everything seems to go like silent. But what's really happening is it's the point of transfer from the energetic into the physical. It's kind of like if you had the subway and it's changing tracks. If you've ever been on the East Coast and you're on the train and riding the subway, and when the subway changes tracks, the lights in the cars go out because it's changing electricity sources. It's changing over from one source of electricity to the other. So there's a transfer point before it reconnects, and then, it slows down and it transfers over to the other rails, and then, the lights kind of go on, they flicker on and off because it's changing power sources, and then it goes, and then all the lights come back on and it speeds up again when it's all straight on the new track. That's what's happening with your manifesting. So in addition to these divine detours and these side doors, the divine delay could be your divine delays. The other type of delay is a divine transfer, where it's transferring from the energetic into the final physical form. Okay? This is where so many people spin out, start reading their circumstances as it doesn't happen for me, it happens for everybody else. They go into victimization mode. They go into cause and effect mode. They give up. They throw in the towel. Oh, I need a new modality. Oh, I need to go find somebody else. Oh, I need another magic bullet. Oh, her stuff is crap. Oh, his stuff doesn't make sense. Oh, I spent so much money and I'm not getting what I want. Oh, I'll never have it. My mother was always right. All of that. Okay, that's what we get. And it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with it's transferring and from energy into matter. And you need to just kind of shut up and let it come. That's really kind of what happens. You just have to stop the belly aching, and you got to allow it forward. And that's what we call allowing it to load in. Okay, when you buy an app in the App Store, you have to click the button, buy, and then it starts to load in. You approve it, and it starts to load in. You see that little circle come on all the way around. And when you wait for a YouTube video to load in, you can see the thumbnail, but you can't see the video yet. It's buffering. It's loading in. You're not sitting there banging on the thing, the mouse. Okay, you're waiting because you're allowing it to load up before you try to use it. It's the same thing with these manifesting projects. Okay, so I think that's good. I think there's a lot for a radio show. That's a lot. That was like a whole real class. But it's important. It's important stuff. And I want you to be successful. So I want you to, follow the show, call in, check us out on Facebook. Let us know how this is working for you. And now I think we have a caller, so we will take Tamia. Sam, if you're ready. I don't know if you're there. But hello.
I like it being
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Tamia?
Hi.
Hi. Do you have a question?
Not working there for a second. Hi, how
Wait,
are you?
I couldn't hear you. I'm good. What's your question?
Question about just I've just been feeling kind of stuck with I'm not really ambitious right now about or motivated to kind of move ahead in like a career or anything like that. But I need some kind of change, like to get out of my current job. But I'm not really sure what like the next step is to kind of move towards that.
Okay. And so the question is,
just what sort of, like, is there anything that I can do to kind of push towards like a different career or to get myself out of this one, or is there not like a good timing for it, or just trying to figure out what to do with next to make a change.
Well, I think the first thing is to, there's nothing that's going to make that change more than your own energy being invested in it. And clearly your energy is nowhere near that kind of transition point. So I think the thing that's important is to take a step toward answering the question, what is it that you really want and what would make you most happy, what would make your heart sing? And that, that's a process, obviously. But once you find the energy of that, then the transitions and all the things that we're talking about on the show, that becomes more available. But, just like the way you even started your question, like it's like kind of asking for, fish in a really low tide. It's like the ocean's pulled way out. It's like, okay, I want to go fishing. Well, you kind of can't because the energy in the water isn't there. So that's really up to you as far as, like kind of stepping in and saying, okay, I'm going to let myself dream here. I'm going to give myself permission to think big, to think, okay, it's all on me. I create all of this, so nothing's happening to you. No, universe is waiting for your command, if you will. So if you don't change anything within your energy and your frequency, nothing will change. However, it feels to me like you're just looking to rev up energy to make those decisions, And so sometimes the way we rev up energy is we get ourselves as miserable as possible in where we currently are so that we kind of get our backs up against the wall and then say, okay, that's it. I can't take it anymore. I will change. And then you, like, invest the energy. You kind of want to avoid doing that. Obviously, it's, too much on the adrenal glands and all that kind of thing. But what I would suggest is that I would get a journal, and I would start to give yourself permission, get out in nature and ask some questions. Where can I be the biggest contribution? What would make my heart sing? What are my passions? Where is it that I really want to be next? And then ask to be led. And you'll connect. Because right now, the reason why you're not getting answers is because you're kind of unplugged. So it's not something that just sort of happens to osmosis. It's just plugging back in and being willing to invest in that energy to go forward. So I hope that's helped a little bit. All right, and good luck with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You okay, have a great night. Okay, so what was I going to say? Okay, so when you are looking at your world, and that was actually, her question, you could feel her energy was checked out, right? It's like, oh, well, what, it's kind of not connecting in. It's really important that you have the courage to take a stand for yourself. The energy cannot go past your command. That's free will. right? So if you're commanding it to say, well, I don't know, I'm going to wait for something to happen, what you're going to get is just a holding pattern until you say, okay, I would like to try this. And if you're not at a point where you can make a strong choice, then come ask, where can I ask the question? Where could I be the most contribution, or what would make my heart sing, or what would be the best for me now, or where can I be the happiest, or, what stepping stone is available to me? And breadcrumbs will definitely start to show up along your way. Absolutely. Okay, so I think do we have any more questions? I don't think so. I think we're going to end for today, just because I'm going to follow the energy with this one. I think we have a lot for you to work on. Again, if you'd like to join us for our class tomorrow, send me an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com. That's our personal alchemy class for advanced light workers, and we take what we're talking about today to whole new levels. We're going to be channeling a new class tomorrow and for the next 3 weeks, and we'll get you the recording of the first class as well. Plus, there's like a little discount on that as well. And also, if you'd like an application to study with me in the Advanced Mastermind, I would love to hear from you. So you can send us an email at the same place, support@ahamomentsinc.com. And you can visit us at theahaway.com to take the quiz and see what else is new in our AHA community. So we will see you back here, same time, same place next week. And I will end with my motto, which is, you truly can have exactly what you want. You absolutely deserve it too. And in this new energy, anything is possible. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.